If you feel tired all the time, even when you've had enough sleep, this is probably why. You wake up in the morning and you don't feel refreshed. You go through your day, but everything feels heavier than it should. Simple things take more effort. Small tasks feel draining. And by the end of the day, you feel completely exhausted. So you assume the problem is sleep, that you didn't rest properly, that you need more energy. But what if that's not the real issue? Because not all tiredness is physical. A lot of it is mental. And mental fatigue works differently. It doesn't come from what you do with your body. It comes from what you do with your attention. Because your brain is constantly active, thinking, processing, reacting, even when you're not aware of it. From the moment you wake up, your mind is already switched on. You check your phone. You see notifications. You start thinking about everything you need to do, messages, work, responsibilities, things you forgot yesterday, things you need to remember today. And before your day has even properly started, your brain is already working, and it doesn't stop. There's always something pulling your attention, something demanding your focus, something asking for your energy. And every time your attention shifts, it uses up a small amount of mental energy. Individually, it doesn't feel like much, but over time it adds up because your brain isn't designed to constantly switch between things. It's designed to focus, to stay on one thing long enough to process it properly. But that's not how most people live anymore. Instead, your attention is constantly being pulled in different directions. You're switching between tasks, checking your phone, responding to messages, thinking about what's next all day, and every switch has a cost. It might only be small, but repeated hundreds of times, it becomes significant until your brain starts to feel overloaded. And that's when the tiredness shows up, not because your body is exhausted, but because your mind is. That's why you can feel drained, even if you haven't done much physically, because mentally, you've been doing a lot, more than you realize. And even when you try to rest, you don't actually rest. You scroll, you watch something, you listen to something. You fill every quiet moment with more input, so your brain never fully switches off. It just changes what it's processing. And without proper rest, the fatigue builds, day after day, until it becomes your normal. You just feel tired all the time. And the more tired you feel, the harder everything becomes. Focusing takes more effort. Making decisions feels heavier. Staying consistent becomes harder. So things start to slip. You procrastinate more. You avoid more. You feel less motivated. And eventually, it starts to feel like everything is connected. Because it is. Mental fatigue affects everything: your focus, your decisions, your energy, your mood, and even your patience. Small things start to irritate you more. You feel more easily overwhelmed, and things that used to feel manageable now feel difficult. But the problem isn't that you've suddenly become less capable, it's that your brain hasn't had a chance to recover. Because recovery doesn't come from doing something else. It comes from doing less, from giving your mind space, time without input, time without stimulation, time where it doesn't have to process anything. And that's something most people don't give themselves anymore. Because silence feels uncomfortable. Doing nothing feels strange. So you fill that space without realizing that it's exactly what you need. That's why pushing harder doesn't work. Drinking more caffeine doesn't fix it. Trying to be more productive doesn't solve it. Because the issue isn't effort, it's overload. And you can't fix overload by adding more. You fix it by removing, reducing the noise, creating small moments where your brain can actually switch off. That might be putting your phone away, sitting in silence for a few minutes, going for a walk without distractions, Simple things, but powerful ones, because they give your brain what it's been missing: a chance to reset, a chance to slow down, a chance to recover. And when that happens, your energy starts to come back. Gradually, your focus improves. Tasks feel easier again. You don't feel as drained, not because your life suddenly changed, but because your mind finally had space to breathe. Another thing that drains your energy without you realizing is constant decision making. From the moment you wake up, you're making decisions: what to check first, what to reply to, what to do next, what to prioritize. And even small decisions use up mental energy. On their own, they don't seem like much, but over a full day, they add up until your brain starts to slow down. And that's when everything feels heavier. Even simple choices feel difficult, and that adds to the tiredness. Not physically, but mentally. So if you've been feeling tired all the time, even when you're getting enough sleep, it's probably not your body that needs rest. It's your mind. And the solution isn't more effort. It's less input, less noise, less constant stimulation. Because when you give your mind the space it needs, everything starts to feel lighter again.